every guy you mentioned had very, very specific development plans on, like, we got more specific this year on exactly what this individual needs to improve in order to have success at the big league level, and really at the AAA level too, because some of these guys you mentioned were struggling in AAA. And all of them, to a man, every one of those guys executed those things,
Obviously, you had some new additions on the staff in 2024 with Noah and Clark. But what did you see from them? Like, what did they bring to the team for you guys this year?
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. Don't forget Dan DeLucia too. Like, Dan was in his. I mean, obviously not new to the Red Sox, but new to coaching in AAA with the WooSox, and really they did a fantastic job. I think there's a lot of times where you don't know. We obviously have things that philosophically we're following as staff on, like, how we do things, right? But there's also a lot of opportunity for especially skill coaches, pitching, hitting, things like that, to like make their mark on how they coach and like little things. It's not like coaches are just doing what they're like. We can throw things out like, let's try this, and a lot of times it takes a period of time to like really see like what kind of impact's being made. And for me, short and sweet, like I believe we had an amazing season in 2023 offensively, and I think we broke that record runs scored wise this past year. Speaks a lot to Getty and Clarkey and the work that was put in and the programming and the things that we're doing, from Oach on down offensively, like to train guys differently. And I really think that what you guys saw come on at the end of the year spoke volumes to me about, Dan and Noah were working relentlessly down there, not just on like pitch design, but they're watching them pivot at times in the middle of the year there when we were, I'd say, struggling, like, okay, stuff's showing up, velocity, but like we can't spray the ball around and walk people at this clip, and watching Luis Guerrero and Penrod and some of these guys at the end of the year, Luis Guerrero struggled early. I mean, the ERA number can come out and say, oh, it's a 3, whatever, but there's a lot of peripherals underneath ERA, right, that you look at that suggests that there was stuff going on where it's like, this isn't going to work, like we and then all of a sudden, this guy comes on at the end of the year in Worcester, and Penrod starts doing and it transformed our bullpen. It was one of the biggest areas where we struggled was to hold leads, and those guys and Hageman, a lot of guys. There's a ton of guys that started to transform. You just saw like the month of August, like things just turned.
Yeah, Van Bell too. Van Bell was another one Brian Van Bell started off.
Unbelievable. That guy was a season saver, like when he moved out of the rotation and went into the pen, lowered the slot. Again, Dan and Noah and Justin Willard in our pitching department lowered the slot. Velocity kicked up a little bit. Now he's throwing a sinker instead of a four seam, and all of a sudden nobody can hit him. The changeup was electric. But those types of changes that sometimes they take time to like really see like the results. It doesn't just happen like that. I think the results we saw in the month of end of July, but really the month of August and September with some of these guys, the things they were working on, and to finally see the results show up, it was cool. And it's a big time testament to Dan and Noah and the work that I know they were putting in.
You make a good point, because I don't think that there was enough, and I guess it's shame on us too, because we didn't really highlight it either. But thinking back now and listening to you say that, there really wasn't enough said about what Dan and Noah had done. Because I think what people are focused on when they hear pitching development, right, they just think of who's the next ace. It's not about the true ultimate development of each individual player and how they can slot in, and help not only the WooSox, but then the Red Sox. If you look at it, you had Chase, who went up there and looked pretty good at the big league level. Bailey Horn threw some meaningful innings. Were the results what he might have wanted? No, but he was still had that opportunity. Boozer, Priester had that last start of the season. He's another one that
Richard Fitz, obviously the last, the run of 3 or 4 starts at the end. So you're right, Chris, like all these guys are spilling right out of our AAA team, and you have to, and all of whom, every guy you mentioned had very, very specific development plans on, like, we got more specific this year on exactly what this individual needs to improve in order to have success at the big league level, and really at the AAA level too, because some of these guys you mentioned were struggling in AAA. And all of them, to a man, every one of those guys executed those things. Shuggy's across the board, not just the stuff and the profile of the stuff, but started throwing more strikes. And he added the two seam and Guerrero's performance and Fitz at the end of the year. I mean, these guys all Fitz had struggles early in the season, like big time. In the middle part of the year there, he had a heart-to-heart with Dan on things that he needed to improve. And they all did it, but again, like it takes somebody not afraid to sit there and look the guy in the eye and tell him this isn't good enough and this needs to improve. And then it also takes awesome players that are open-minded and accountable to what they're doing to go out there and make the necessary adjustments. So again, that last month and a half, our pitching, watching some of those guys make drastic improvements was fun to watch.